என் இயேசுவே என் ஜீவன் நீரல்லோ, என் இயேசுவே என் வேலன் நீரல்லோ, என் இயேசுவே என் ஜீவன் நீரல்லோ, என் இயேசுவே என் வேலன் நீரல்லோ. சீயோனின் பாதையில் வெளிச்சம் நீரல்லோ, தேசரும் முகம் கண்டு இன்றும் களிப்பேன். சீயோனின் பாதையில் வெளிச்சம் நீரல்லோ, தேசரும் முகம் கண்டு இன்றும் களிப்பேன். மரண இருளின்
அட்மின் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லைட்ஸ் லைவ்ல ஷேர் பண்ணுவாங்க, ரிவ்யூவர் கொஞ்சம் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுங்க. So a very good evening to all of you. We welcome all the viewers and subscribers of Melky TV, especially viewers of Pen, Mic and Swords book review programs. So dear friend, today is our 71st episode, and the book which we are going to review today, it's a book written by Dr. Billy Graham. Who doesn't know about Billy Graham? The kind of preaching he did, the kind of people he touched. So I'm sure this book would be really a great eye opener for everyone. The title of the book goes like this: Freedom from Seven Deadly Sins. So as a Christian, as a saved child of God, it's really, really important that we know what kind of sins we shouldn't commit, and how we can be saved from it. And so I think Billy Graham's book would be a very important book for all the Christians. And this book is going to be reviewed by Joseph sir. Joseph sir is basically from Mumbai. So sir is a lecturer by profession, and sir is involved in ministry of God for many years, and he has been creating many generations for Lord. So we really thank God the brother took the time and came to this book review program in spite of his busy schedule, and going to give the review of this book. And we have as panelist brother Joseph Yesudian. Joseph is also from Mumbai. Joseph is involved in corporate work, and is also involved in the digital media ministry, and is also initiating the Thana branch, and doing ministry and supporting his dad in the ministerial work. So thank you, Joseph. We welcome you too. So both the Josephs are in this show. We are really very happy for that, and some more panelists are also going to join. Sister Sangeetha James from Mumbai is going to join. We all know sister is a CBSE school teacher, and Sister Rebecca Yesudian from Mumbai is also going to join us a panelist. So without much delay, I would like to turn the podium to Joseph sir to give his review, please. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Jemmy, for this wonderful time. And I'm so glad and delighted to do the book review of the 71st episode. These are all the opportunity where, rather I would say, I get to grow. And reading book is really a good habit when we cultivate. It helps a lot psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and worldly aspect. So I really appreciate Sister Jemmy for having running this program for a long time, and definitely it's going to be a great boon for many who are yet to join and who are all joining. The knowledge aspects and the thought process broadens the more we read the book. The more we read, better the understanding is, better our perspective is. So once again, I thank God for this wonderful opportunity. I'm so glad to have Joseph and Sister Sangeetha and Rebecca, and I'm also honored with their presence, rather I would say. I urge them to give their valuable feedback. Anything which I miss out, or anything practically from your point of view, if you want to just add up, please do add it. The very important thing is that anything when the panel members of who are going to add up something, the moment when you feel anything can be added together, just immediately you can pen it out and keep it, and let those things be added so that nothing we miss in this episode. This review, rather, I have brought in a slide so that I don't miss out the biblical concept of verses and some examples, so that nothing I miss out. Or and moreover, I'll go little faster. Please kindly bear with me. And in case while I'm sharing the PPT, probably it is little corroded with the lines and contents. Kindly bear with me. I've not much simplified it, and in case if I could not able to be audible or anything, please anytime please interrupt me. I now just share my PPT and proceed my review. I thank God once again for the opportunity given for me to take up this review. Um, could you all able to see the slide?
Uh, no, sir. We are not able to see.
Not able to?
Yeah. Sir, you please continue talking. I'll just make a
Yeah.
call and ask them to arrange for it to be visually
Yeah.
available to everyone. Just a minute.
Okay. It shows. I've just shared it with the stream only. I'll proceed with, yeah. Yeah. So the book review, which we have taken today in the 71st episode, is Freedom from the Seven Deadly Sins, authored by Dr. Billy Graham. And the name of the publisher is GLS Publishing. It was first published in the year 1998, and later it is reprinted in January 2017. And this book has 88 pages. I have a very old book, rather, not the latest one. So this book contains 80 pages, and the price of the book is 60 rupees. And the person, the great man of God, Dr. Billy Graham, he has authored 30 plus books. To talk about his alma mater, he's BA in anthropology. He studied from Florida Bible Institute, Wheaton College, Chicago. And to add up some more information about the great man of God, he's one of the most important Christian leaders of 20th century. Rather, I would say he will be a man even for the centuries to come to be spoken. And his legacy, what he has left out, will not be forgotten even many centuries to come. He's a visionary man. According to his website, basically, Graham preached to a live audience of 210 million people in more than 185 countries and territories through various meetings. To talk about his early life, he conducted more than 400 crusades. He conducted various ministry among students, and even they have evangelistic association, and he's also founder of the same. And he's also great. He was also greatly involved in civil rights movements, and even the organization continuing to do that ministry. And this great man of God has a multiple roles that he has played. As a teacher, he's an icon, rather a lighthouse for the Christian community. He was an entrepreneur. He was an architect. He's basically a bridge builder. He's a pilgrimist, and he's a pastor, and he's an American Protestant patriarch. Such a man of God who touched the lives of many millions. Whenever he preaches the word of God, we can definitely see what great impact that he causes, and how God uses him in an anointing manner. Coming to the book written by Billy Graham, that is Freedom from Seven Deadly Sins, looking at the title, let us come to a conclusion how the title is developed into it. Is the Bible talks about the seven deadly sin directly? So if you ask a question, there is no direct quotes as such. The Bible quotes these seven deadly sins are nowhere collectively mentioned in a single passage in the Bible, and yet there are all condemned separately in many places. That is what we need to understand. To start with this book, I would like to directly take up from the introduction part of it. After once upon a minister, after having spoken strongly against sin one morning, one of his members said, "We don't want you to talk so plainly about sin, because if boys and girls hear you mention it, they will more easily become sinner. So call it a mistake if you will, but do not speak so bluntly about sin." After the person said, the minister went to the medicine shelf and brought back a bottle of strychnine, and which marked poison. So he said, "I see what you want me to do it. Do you want me to change the label? Suppose I take off this label that is poison and put on some mild label such as peppermint candy. Can't you see the danger? So the milder you make the label, the more deadly the poison is." So, so the minister made it very clear: sin means sin, whether it is directly quoted about or not. But sin is sin. That is what he wanted to mean it. And moreover, if it is a poison, basically the word poison should be properly labeled. I've just put in the PPT that uh, two bottles are there. One is strychnine, that is also a poisonous one. The other one is mercury bichloride. Even 1 gram is sufficient; it will be fatal. It will be fatal. So basically, anything that is poisonous, first of all, it should be labeled as poison. Otherwise, people may not be aware of it. Now, coming to the point of this topic of the book, uh, here in the introduction, it is very clearly written, though Dr. Billy Graham has written, but when this title being decided, it is Pope Saint Gregory the Great. He is the one who divided all sins and labeled under 7 heads. And later, many theologians have accepted it and followed judiciously in all Christian community. So that is what we need to understand. It's Saint Gregory the Great, who is the one who actually divided all sins and labeled under 7 heads. So let me just delve into those 7 deadly sins. The 7 deadly sins are: number 1 is pride, number 2, anger, number 3, envy, number 4 is impurity or lust, number 5 is gluttony, and number 6 is slothfulness, and number 7 is avarice. Let me go to the first one. The first one is pride. First, we need to understand what is pride. As far as the author who has written, and when we make the observation, we also get a clarification of the first sin, that is pride. Um, what is pride? Pride is a boastfulness. Pride is a boastfulness. In other words, it is an excessive belief in one's own abilities or superiority. It is considered the most severe of the deadly sin and the root of all others. So, pride is the root cause of all other sin. When pride comes in, and then it is just rather, I would say, just sort of an epidemic. It is a sort of a germ. When it enters in, it spoils the entire life. And there are certain interpretation and claims about the sin pride. As far as this book is concerned, Dr. Billy Graham has made it very clear. It is pride that distances a person from God by making them self-centered and unwilling to accept their limitations. So when pride enters in, it makes a distance from God. It makes a man to be distant from God. It is often seen as a sin that caused Lucifer to fall from grace. And one great example that we all know, the pride of Lucifer. The pride of Lucifer, the fallen angel who rebelled against God, and that exemplifies the pride and arrogance. So if anyone boasts of oneself, okay, about their own ability, their potential, their talent, their knowledge, their greatness. If they keep blowing the trumpet wherever they go, whenever they get an opportunity to say, and we can recognize there is a pride which is entered in. Coming to the biblical examples, the Pharisees and Sadducees in Matthew Gospel, chapter 23, verse 1 to 39, and Mark 7, 1 to 23, where we can read it. The Pharisees and Sadducees, they were criticized by Jesus for their pride and hypocrisy. That is exemplified by their emphasis on the external rituals and disregard for the righteousness. Certain things which are just followed as a rituals are not based on the righteousness, and that is also sort of an excessive pride. You know, um, anything that we follow as a custom, and if it is not followed um, uh, with a matter of holiness, with a true heart of humbleness, then probably it is only a rituals rather, and Jesus rebuked about it. And therefore we read in Proverbs 16 verse 18, it says, pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. So the moment the pride comes in, and that is the end of a person. So what is the remedy or the freedom? What is the remedy of the freedom? We have to be humble, and that is what the book speaks very clearly. So we need to manifest our humility. Our humility should be known by all. How much ever we should humble ourselves, we should humble. Because the entire Christianity is built up in the system of morality. If the morality declines, when morality declines, there is some sin which has entered in. Basically, all these seven cannot be directly quoted as a sin, but rather I can say it's a sort of a human weakness. Simple human weakness when it is not looked into it carefully, when it is overlooked, and probably that causes a greater damage. So, um, arrogance, boastfulness, and the excessive belief about one's own ability or feeling of superiority, and all these selfish behavior shows very clearly the pride of a person. And not only that, even if a person disregard the well-being of others, if a brother could not able to rejoice the growth and the success of a brother, and that also indirectly talks about the pride of a brother. So that is what the pride is all about, which we learn from this book. So let us try to be more humble and manifest humility. Moving to the next one, that is anger, that is wrath. This, what is anger? Uncontrolled feeling. Sometimes, it's quite common. Nobody can say that I've never got an anger, or I did not express my uncontrolled emotions or feeling. Definitely, we are human being, and sometimes we get anger. But we, when we get anger, was it righteous, or is it something uncontrolled? Is it due to hatredness, or is it is that anger is wanted to cause some revenge, or wanted to destroy something, and that is wrong. So let us we need to be clarify very clearly. The anger which I'm getting is going to cause damage, cause some revenge, and in that case, there is some problem with someone. And moreover, as far as the book, when we interpret, and there are certain claims are there, when anger comes in, I think nothing good happens. If somebody gets angry, that's what they are uncontrolled in tongue, and uncontrolled in physical movement, and what they speak and what they tell. I mean, sometimes it's completely unchecked. So anger destroys relationship. Anger destroys the amicable relationship with friends or anybody. So it has a negative consequences. So just because of anger, I mean, that may lead to a fatal killing and taking revenge, and that becomes both physical and emotional, and that doesn't cause anything good, that cause only damage. So therefore, in the ethical framework, in both religious and in secular, we need to encourage the temperaments. So here Billingham emphasized very clearly, we need to encourage the temperaments and forgiveness. What is the remedy of anger? If somebody done something wrong, okay, let us forgive and forget. And that is the remedy. That's the remedy, and that is a freedom. When we don't forgive a brother, forgive others, and probably the anger sustains there. But at the same time, if I done something wrong to someone, I have to personally say sorry to them. Otherwise, forgiveness cannot be given on their own. I know very well that I have done something wrong. I betrayed the faith, betrayed their relationship, betrayed their what do you call, faith that they have in me. But with whom I have done something wrong, definitely have to say sorry to them. And if I don't say sorry, I mean, I cannot reconcile my relationship with God, and that will once again keep us away from God. And that's what the book says very clearly. And we know very well the very first person in the Bible who expresses anger is Cain. Everyone knows. The first murderer. He was driven by anger and jealousy towards his brother Abel. And what has caused that anger? Finally, he murdered Cain. What a kind of an action that he has did it. So we need to be very careful with when we get an anger. I still remember when during my childhood days, my father said, like, if you just get anger, just make sure that you take 2 3 glass of water and pacify. Drink a glass of water and pacify yourself, and don't be haste in speaking and in acting, and nothing good comes out of it. So a few examples. Herod Antipas, he was filled with anger and jealousy towards John the Baptist and leading him to have him executed. It is anger that caused that. So a man of quick temper acts foolishly. That's what Proverbs says. And even Proverb also says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh words stirs up anger. If one is in a mood of anger, then other one should be in the mode of quietness or in a soft mode. If two X and Y both are in anger mode, then it's going to cause a greater damage. So, what is the remedy of an anger? So, let us give a soft answer and let us be quiet. Sometimes, when we are quiet, also, we are treated as a wise person. So, by being quiet, we can automatically bring down the what do you call, anger of a person down. And then, whoever is slow to anger has a great understanding. If I'm very quick in anger, probably come out with my foolishness. If I'm slow in my anger, probably I express my understanding. I have some better knowledge about how to handle a crisis and situation. So he who is hasty in temperament only brings in folly. So remedy, what's a remedy? As we love ourselves, let us love others. Let us give a very soft answer that will pacify the anger. Even before the sun rises, our anger should come down. That is what anger speaks about it. Moving to the third one, that is envy. Envy. What is envy? It is a deep resentment towards others due to their possession. Some people just simply look at what others they possess, what they buy, what they use, about their qualities, about their success, about their achievement, about the things that they use. Even little materialistic thing also, they just look at it and desire. So it is very careful. We need to even take care of those things. So anything that people desire too much about others, and that also brings in the envy. And there are certain claims about envy. It What does envy causes? What damage that it causes? Envy corrupts the heart by focusing attention on what others have rather than being grateful for what one possesses. Whatever I have it, I should be satisfied and happy and content with what I have. And that is the greater profit that one must have. Be content with what you have. If anyone develops envy, and that spoils my heart, my desire, my mind, and everything. So it leads to malice and often to action that harms relationship and communities. So therefore, envy is universally recognized as a destructive agent. So if anyone envies, let them envy, let them have a different feeling, but we should handle ourselves very well. And this envy also undermines both personal happiness and social harmony. The moment envy comes in, the person who develops envy will also lose one's happiness and will also lose social harmony with others. It's not only causing damage to one's own self, ultimately, they end up losing their harmony with others. Then it erodes contentment and promotes bitterness. Once envy comes in, automatically it brings in bitterness, and they will muddle their relationship. So, what is a biblical one classical example? If we talk about it, we know Esau. It is he who sold his birthright to Jacob due to envy and resentment. So there's wonderful example. And not only that, we know Judas Iscariot. He envied Jesus' relationship with the disciples and ultimately betrayed him just for 30 pieces of silver. And that's how things goes. So once the envy enters in, that also leads to destruction. So what is the remedy? What is the freedom? So we should be like the biblical character like Joseph, and thereby we can keep ourselves away from such complications. So whoever is getting envy, let them not develop too much of akin to the possession of others. Let us only be content with what they have, and that contentment also can lead a satisfied life. So this is what envy is. And moving to the fourth one, that is impurity. In other word, impurity, as far as the book is concerned, it is lust. What is the lust or the impurity? It is an intense and uncontrolled desire, particularly for sexual pleasure, but also for other forms of sensual gratification. Any form of gratification is also considered to be a lust. Okay, be it handling any gadget or spending time more on watching something. Sometimes these days, even teenagers, they watch pornography, and they just spoil their own morality. Okay, anything that they watch uncontrolled manner is also develops the lust in them. And so lust dehumanizes both the person experiencing it and the object of desire. What it does, it reduces relationship to mere physical satisfaction, and that can lead to the exploitation of others or destructive behavior. So this will cause a greater damage, and later life cannot be that great or that great satisfaction that one can get if anyone experiment the lust even before the appointed time. So things are generally agreed. Like while viewing on sexuality, it vary across culture. Unchecked lust is often criticized for undermining meaningful relationship and encouraging exploitation or objectification of others. Taking an example of biblical character David, we know he has committed adultery with Bathsheba and murdered her husband Uriah. It is simply driven by lust and desire. Lust and desire. If you take up the Genesis, such a wonderful example, Genesis chapter 3, verse 6, we read, as Eve, when she heard what the serpent said, the verses goes this way, and the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So first she heard the words of Satan, and she developed the lust or desire within her, and she saw the tree, saw the fruit, and the fruit was, which was very pleasant to the eyes, and then she developed the desire. So when we see the step by step, heard, desired, saw, and it was looked pleasant to the eyes. Then she took, then she ate, and she gave it to her husband, and that's how, and she has committed that. So lust is a greater term, but it just starts with a simple word of desire. So any desire in excess is also lust. So King Herod, he lusted after his brother Philip's wife, Herodias, and had her husband executed to marry her. And so we should overcome the lust, and people those who suffer with this. And definitely the one greater classical example is that Job, he has made such a wonderful covenant and with his own eyes. And if you read in Job 31 1 onwards, the way that he himself says certain punishment for himself if he goes against the commandment and the word of God, and it's really a great thing. So we need to look into the Jobs, and that is what the book also reflects upon. So lust. Moving to the next one, that is number 5, gluttony. What is gluttony? It is overindulgence in food, drink, and other physical pleasures to the point of wastefulness or a harm. You know what? Desire for food. Some people are a good eater. Some people have an overindulgence in food. To whatever extent they eat, they are not satisfied. Whatever they see immediately, it gives a mouth watering, and then they go for eating it. Okay, as we know, like lots of fast food stuff has come, pizza, sizzlers, and what is that, shawarma, and all those stuff. Okay, people eat for the taste of, sometimes it's okay. I mean, keep on going on eating and eating with no control, with excessive of food, eating and drinking is what is called as gluttony. Because why it is listed as sin? Because by eating excess, we are only harming our body. Our body is a temple where God stays in it. So in that case, how can we harm our body? Okay, we should love our body. Neglecting our body is sin. So in that case, rather than being concerned about our body, we neglect what is okay for our appetite, what is not okay for appetite. If people simply go on eating, and that causes greater harm to the body. And it is due to lack of self control. And and people should develop the control, self control, and thereby this problem can be averted. Let's think about King Belshazzar. He indulged in excessive feasting and wine and ignoring the warnings of the prophet Daniel. So ultimately, he lost his kingdom. And let us not forget the rich man. Okay, rich man, he had plenty to eat, but at the same time, the poor beggar Lazarus was with no food. He was just simply waiting whether he will get any crumb of a loaf of bread or crumb of a biscuit or whatever. So, rich man, he consumed his wealth and gluttony. He ignored the warnings of God's judgment and the needs of the poor. So, when we have more, we should definitely share it with the poor. So, Paul also rebukes the excessive of feasting and drunkenness. And if we go ahead and more in eating, and that is also called a sin, that's what the word of God says, and the book says very clearly. So remedy and the freedom is spirit of contentment. Then moving to the slothfulness. One good example is ant. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. And watch, having no guide, oversees our ruler, but it collects its food on summer and ready for the rainy season. So the book deals very clearly with slothfulness also. Slothfulness is also one big sin sometimes among the people which is there. Sometimes even certain time I delay certain thing, I just have some laziness, and then I will say to myself, come on, this is not how I should be. I should complete things before time or in advance, or I should be before this particular appointed time. So sometimes that mind often just talks to us, be quick, and don't be lazy. And when the word, when the heart spirit speaks about it, immediately we need to quicken ourselves. Otherwise, the slothfulness is also one kind of a sin that will, if we neglect, it will have a potential dangers that may cause. That's what the slothfulness in this book it speaks about. So laziness is an unwillingness to act, particularly in relation to spiritual, moral, and physical responsibility. Any responsibility that is given, be it spiritual, be it moral, be it the responsibility given in the workplace or school or society or any work for concern, people should be quick in action. If they delay, probably things may not work out well. So that's what this book deals with. And the last one is about avarice, that is greedy for money, an intense and selfish desire for material wealth or gain, and this is often at the expense of others. Even this is also treated as one of the seven deadly sins. So it leads to unethical behavior, and therefore one should be very careful about greedy for money, greedy for wealth, greedy for any assets. One should be very careful about it. So most ethical systems view greedy negatively, because excessive accumulation of wealth at the expense of others is condemned in both religious texts and secular philosophies. So, one classical example is Judas Iscariot. He betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, demonstrating greed and avarice. So, um, if anyone develops greed, and it's as good as they are causing danger to their life. So, therefore, these are all the seven deadly sins that the passage speaks about it, and this entire book speaks about it. And there is something which I wanted to talk in general. These seven deadly sins are rooted in Christian theology, and their concepts, resonate across various philosophical, ethical, and cultural traditions. For example, pride is condemned in Buddhism as a root of suffering, which is called as ego. And envy and greed are criticized in Marxist philosophy as driving force behind class conflict. So, anger and lust are seen in many secular psychological frameworks as emotional states that, when uncontrolled, that will lead to personal and interpersonal harm. So, to conclude, in summary, the seven deadly sin encapsulates moral failures that lead to personal unhappiness and societal harm. So, the specific claims about their dangers are widely agreed upon across different belief systems, even though the theological framing may vary. So, that is what the book says about it. Finally, I would like to read one final verse, and I want to conclude it. Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for Father is not in them. For everything in the world, the lust of flesh, the lust of eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. So the world and its desire passes away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever. Whoever does the will of God lives forever. With that, I would like to conclude. It's a very important book, which is recommended to be read by all faith of people. So this may help to live a life with no harm. So with this, I would like to end. I hope that I try to cover as much as possible, and probably I might have taken more time. Thanks for listening to it patiently. And now I would like to hand over the remaining session to Sister Jemima and for the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was such a wonderful review, and you had worked so hard for the slides. As soon as our program gets over, my first message would be to you to send the slide to us so that we can know in detail. So,
Sure.
thank you for your hard work and your
Thank you.
effort.
this book is really a very good book. I could say that it's a basic book which each and every saved Christian, as you told, not only Christian, people of all faith, if they read this book, I'm sure they will turn to the Bible, because this is what Bible teaches us, and this book is grounded in biblical principles. I often like Christian authors writing Christian books based on biblical references. And this seven deadly sins, I was very surprised that slothfulness is included in the seven deadly sins, because often many of us in families, we do this thing very commonly. We do this. Brother told this. I have this thing in my family. Whatever I know, I am a person. If I think that I should do this work, I will immediately do it. I doesn't like to delay it. But my husband is directly opposite. If I tell him to do something, he will drag it for days, weeks, even months. Sometimes I have waited for many years for a work to complete. So definitely I will show this review episode to him so that he can be benefited. It's really, really very important. We should have deadlines for each and everything, and slothfulness is something which we need to be very careful. And our brother mentioned about the seven deadly sins. First one is pride. So as brother gave a very good start. The Bible, we have Lucifer. It starts with this pride, and how pride had been downfall of many spiritual leaders. Many spiritual leaders, they started at a good note. They were quite spiritual. They did many mission work. But at some point of time, after getting all the success, some or other, Satan ensures that pride comes into their mind. Once pride comes into their mind, they leave everything out. They leave God. They forget that we need to go to heaven. They forget to guide the people to heaven, and they do all sort of mistakes and blunders, and ultimately it leads to their spiritual downfalls. So we have our panel today, so I don't want to give description for each and every sin. So I would like feedback of panel. So starting with Sangeetha Akka. Sangeetha Akka, no, please, your feedback, please.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you that for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this program. A wonderful presentation by brother. Very nicely he has said about how the freedom from the seven deadly sins and all has been very nicely. It has been explained each and every point. That is, firstly said he about the pride of then and pride and arrogance, and then he said about the envy, then impurity, then about the desire, and then about the gluttony, then slothfulness. So I mean, according to me, the the person, like for example, freedom from the deadly sin is mostly we fall into, like for example, the pride comes in. As soon as the pride comes in any person's mind or in any person's personality, then like the possibility is there that that person, he will think that he is the greatest, or yeah, he can do many things. So pride, that should not be there. That is that is one of the sinful thing. And secondly, he has said about the envy. Many people in the world, we have seen that they are as soon as they get, they become successful, and then after that, once the wealth comes, and then if they feel that some other person is that successful, then that jealousy comes in. So even that is there. So I think according to a Christian person, all these things we have to be away from. We have to be away from all these things, so that then only we can be truthful to God, and we can we will all the things which is God has said to us, we can follow all the things. This is according to me the viewpoint is.
Thank you, Akka. Thank you so much. So after hearing your feedback, I feel that once pride comes in, no, people will start doing the rest of the six sins. So pride is the topmost crown like thing, and once the crown comes on their head, pride comes on the head, they will do all the seven things and utterly destroy themselves and those around, and those who are around themselves also. So thank you, Akka. Thank you for your feedback. And next, I would like Rebecca's feedback.
Sorry, took me some time to unmute. I think my network is not that great. Praise the Lord, sir. An amazing review and really uh, good perspective on the different types of sins and how how it creeps in and how we can overcome it by giving a very brief perspective on the various pointers that we can look into. Thank you so much for the presentation, sir, and thank you, Sangeetha, for sharing your views. So, my learning from this book is predominantly that it gives a very good insight on identifying the sins that we have, because many times it so happens that we partake of the sin, specifically anger, you say, or envy, or even greed. Sometimes it just creeps in, but we think we are not able to identify that this is anger, this is envy, or this is greed, which leads to us partaking of the sin, and being in sin without even having the understanding that we are sin, thus not even having a way to redeem ourselves and come out of it. So such books probably help us to introspect ourselves and understand if these things are still persistent in us, and in what dimensions or in what areas are these sins still in us, and how can we identify, bring it unto Christ, and then be redeemed and then be freed, and overcome those sins in our lives. So for me, that was the biggest takeaway from this book, and I think this is a really good read for people of all generation, be it youngsters, be it old people. We all need to know that okay, these are aspects of our life that we can still rectify in Christ, and we can still grow in these matters, because we always see sin as something that is huge, like something that is beyond the boundaries that we have defined for ourselves. So for us, those are the sins that we call as sins, but these are also sins, is what something we don't realize on a day-to-day basis, specifically for people who have been born and brought Christians. For them, it is always difficult to identify the smaller things, and those are the smaller things that brings down their spiritual life. And this book is probably a light on those areas of our life, and should be a good read to everyone who wants to explore what is still pending for them to correct in their life. So that is all from my side. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Akka.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Yes, Rebecca is true. Often we don't realize whatever sins we are doing. Books like this, when we read it, then only we realize, oh yes, I am committing this and this sins. I need to rectify myself. I need to relent of this sins. I need to improve myself and grow in Lord. So really a very good book. So thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for your feedback. And now we have Joseph. Joseph, your feedback, please.
Thank you, Jemima, for this opportunity. And thank you, Joseph, sir, for presenting this book. And I think if anyone has so much of patience to put forward all the slides, and I think that Joseph, sir, can only do that, because I don't think so I'll be able to make such a good presentation and then do that diligent work of preparing presentation slides and then presenting it. So hats off to Joseph, sir, because he's not only here, even I have seen even in youth meetings and all, Joseph sir and his wife, Sister Suniram. So they both very diligently, they will, whatever that they'll do it very diligently. Whatever, making slides or bringing the props, or so, and then doing whatsoever it is. So that's definitely a lesson for me. So thank you, sir, for that. And yeah, and thank you for reviewing this book. Earlier, when you gave the title of this book, Seven Deadly Sins, I didn't realize that these sins would be called as deadly sins, because The moment you say deadly, the things that comes into mind is witchcraft, idolatry, fornication, adultery, and all these levels of sins is what uh, sounds deadly. But later I realized, as you read the book, what I felt was that the reason this is deadly is because this is highly cancerous. This will start at a very lower level wherein we don't even know, and if we uh, don't keep a check on it, the rate of multiplication of this particular sin will be very high. Wherein like we won't even come to know to what extent are we into it or to what extent are we out of it. So that's the reason I realized probably the man of God has termed this book as seven deadly sins, because this does not look deadly on the outside, or probably this is something which is a part of our everyday life, uh, wherein there are levels at which we partake into it. Obviously, as Jamie also has quoted, pride probably might be one of the root ones. Uh, we might not be having pride today similar to what Lucifer had of ascending into the throne of God, but we still carry pride in small things, and probably at some point of time it might not look so big, or it might not look so dangerous. Um, but definitely, I think one is like from the eyes of God, how God views that is very important. And second thing is, I believe this looks very small, this looks very easy, this looks very simple, but it is deadly, because I believe it's like cancer. If you don't keep a check on it, it will spread like anything, and we won't even come to know to what extent we are into that. So thanks for making us realize that, because while you were reading, I couldn't come on the video because I just come from the office. I was just settling up a couple of things, so I was just hearing it out. Throughout the conversation, I could only see small things, as you said. Even gluttony, I mean, like eating or excessive eating of too much is also coming under deadly sin. Is not, I think not many of them would accept it. But the thing is, it starts from there, and the situation it leads us into. The more gluttonous we become, what I believe is, the more gluttonous we become, the more our flesh will be active, the less our spirit will be. And I think that's the point of time wherein, like, we have the doors and windows open for anything flesh to come in, anything that is not of God to come in. So this book was a reminder of that these seven sins might look so small, but one has to take due care. And I believe, since life is a journey, like what I learned from this is, like, it's my duty to introspect on a daily basis. What is the level on which I can measure, and are there any areas which I need to expose it to Christ, which I still feel he participates in these kind of sins, is what I learned. So thank you, Joseph sir, for this presentation, and thank you for reviewing this book. It was a great time hearing it out, what the great man of God has written it. And the end slide, as you said, this is something I believe, this book is something which not only Christians but even non-Christians, if they'll be able to, if they read it, they'll be able to relate much. And I don't think so anyone in the earth should be able to say, or they'll come and say probably this is not wrong, or this is wrong, or this is not right, or something. Because this as much as it's written in a very simpler form, it might look so secular, but it has its roots clearly rooted in the Bible. So thank you, sir, for taking this up, and thank you, Jamaica, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you so much. Dear friends, we heard a great review by Joseph, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you so much. And from my side, I also should extend my heartfelt thanks to the panelists, Sister Sangeetha, Brother Joseph, and Sister Rebecca. Two words I have noted. One is when Rebecca said, like, how such kind of a sin creeps in. We need to know that what is that causes, that how it enters, the entry behavior. We need to find out that root of it. And once it's entered, and Joseph said, like, do not let it to multiply. Okay, we got anger. Okay, we have said one sentence. Okay, need not to go with sentence after sentence, and keep on increasing our temperament. Rather, we should be more moderate. So let us be very careful about when it creeps, why it creeps, by whom it creeps, and immediately let us decide, I am not going to allow it to multiply, so that it's only going to cause a damage not only to me, even for others. I would rather say, and I'll be once again reading again and again and again how much ever it is going to help me out in every aspect, because it looks very simple, but it's highly deadly. It is the pride that the root cause of everything. So we have to be very careful about it. Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Sister Jemmy, for this opportunity. And definitely, it would be a great help. And for everyone who watches, it's a book highly recommended. Let's continue to read and watch, and God will definitely will help us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, dear friends, this book is a great book for you to read and to understand about this seven deadly sins, because these seven sins, somehow or other, at some point of time in our life, we all might have committed. Pride, as Joseph told, we might not have accepted the God's kingdom, or wanted to exalt ourselves to His place, but in small small thing, even in ministry, or if God has blessed us in some way, there comes a situation when we feel good about ourselves. Feeling good about ourselves, it's also a kind of pride. And envy is a thing which is very much rampant in today's materialistic world. Our church is situated in a place where the people, it's almost like our Sonapur area only. The streets would be like a small chawls, and houses would be small, ramshackle like houses. So often when we go for house visiting, I noticed one thing. Many of us who are in good job, in good profession, there are certain things in our home which we don't give much importance to. We will not even think of buying it. But as I was saying, these people, they were in so much poverty, and I was very surprised to see in many of the home there was 52-inch TV. I was shocked. Uh, in my home, in my, in my home, we have a TV which is less than I think around 24 to less than 30, and that also we don't see. And in many homes I saw it. And these people, when they come to church, in testimony, in prayers, they pray to God that God, I need my son or my grandson's education money. So people often sees others luxury, and they want to live like them, and they buy things like them. Nowadays the this EMI scheme is there, no? So
Yeah.
people buy on EMI, and then they suffer. And then they told, we brought it on a spur of a moment, and now we are unable to pay. This is the same kind of thing which I heard through many believers' mouth. So I believe that all this is happening because of envy. They might have gone to someone's home, were well off, might have seen the commodities in their home. They wanted something like that in their home also. So we have to be very wary of such kind of envy. And lust is quite rampant throughout the world, and even in Christianity, because what Satan does, he will ensure that first pride comes. He will ensure the person has a good wealth, and when pride wealth comes, the next thing they will go for is, they will go for other women, they will go for lust. So we have to be really really very careful. And as Christian, we need to be pure in our heart, in our mind, in our action. We have to be like Jesus. So this is a really really very important thing. And another thing what brother told was about gluttony. While brother was giving review, no, I remembered something. Recently, Anand Ambani's wedding, everyone might have seen it in YouTube channel. Who can forget it? So in his wedding, more than 2,500 vegetarian dishes were served. So I'm thinking, I don't know how many people had attended that event, but the extra, the surplus food, what they might have done, would they have given in charity to some poor people? Well and good. If not, everything would have been gone to trash. So this is this kind of lavishness, this kind of thing is also a kind of gluttony, which we need to be very careful of. And of slothfulness, I already mentioned. Last is greed of money. Yes, we need money to live in this world, but the Bible mentions that love of money is the root of all evil things. Who can forget Gehazi? Gehazi was with Elijah. He did all his ministerial work. But once Naaman entered, he saw his wealth. He wanted some of it for himself. So what he received in the end, he got Naaman's disease. So we have to be really, really, dear friends, very careful about the seven deadly sins. And if any of us sin is in our heart or in our actions, let us try to eradicate it. Yes, with the power of the God, with the power of the Holy Spirit, and with prayer, with relent and regretting, slowly, slowly, gradually, we can come out of it, because our life is a process of sanctification. God is sanctifying us. So till we meet Christ, we will be getting perfected each and every day. So do go for this book, read this book, and definitely share this YouTube link to many, so many can see this review and be benefited. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you,
Thank
Rebecca.
you, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice day. God bless you. Good night. Bye.